I've been trying to figure out how to use this goofy controller for a couple of months now, and I just can't seem to figure it out. But I just got a couple 8BitDo Ultimate controllers to check out. What's going on today, Internet? Selfish here with Retrospect. We're going to find out what these 8BitDo controllers are all about. Let's take a look. Before we get going, 8BitDo did send me these controllers for purpose of review, but they're not sponsored in this video and they have no say in my opinion. Now let's get these things unboxed. Alright, we are going to start off with the Ultimate C wired controller for Xbox. This one's specific to the Xbox. It also works in Windows, but looks pretty nice. Nice clean box like they normally are. We gotta get that freshness seal off there. This one's coming out fresh. Just smell it. I didn't sniff it. I forgot to sniff it. Well, everything's packaged up nicely in this little box on the inside of the box. We'll get that out of there. It looks like it comes with a free month of Game Pass, which is good because I'm on month to month, so that'll take care of June. Thanks, 8BitDo. We do have a rubber branded A to C cable here, and it is a longer one. Reason being that it's longer because this is wired, obviously, so you need to be able to get away from your console a little bit. And here's our controller. Now, they were nice enough to include some stick toppers for us, and then an origami accordion, which is interesting. You'll see in a minute. This one has more directions than the other one. And then we do obviously have these stick toppers here, or stick savers, I guess, to save them from getting broken on the way. But everything looks good, just making sure none of the hinges or doorknobs are broken. You know, everything's good to go here. All the buttons are pressing fine. Triggers seem to be working. And yeah, so we'll set that aside and we'll get into the other one. So now we're looking at the Ultimate 2 wireless controller. I have the Ultimate 1. Interestingly, I paid double for the Ultimate 1 what the Ultimate 2 costs now. Prices have just come down. Get those freshness seals off there. There's 2 of them on this one. You got to keep her extra fresh. And get everything out of the way. We'll pull the controller out, kind of set it to the side. There's also a stand in here. This one came with those stick toppers too. I think they're fun. I don't know. They look like they glow in the dark. And then we do have the little card here now. You just scan the card. So instead of the big origami accordion, again, we got a longer rubber branded USB-A to USB-C cable. Rubber branded USB-A to USB-C cable. In the bottom of our charging dock here, we do have the adapter, the dongle, so to speak. This one's actually a Type-C dongle, which I have never seen on a controller setup yet before. That hides right in the bottom of the dock. That way, if you have it plugged in to your computer, the dock itself, then it kind of works as an antenna. And then we'll check and make sure everything's working on the controller, make sure all the buttons are feeling good, nothing's broken here. Back pedals are good. We got the adjusters for the triggers. Everything's feeling pretty solid on here. A couple of good controllers so we can do some reviews. And that one's ready to roll. Alright, for the sake of time, we are going to go through this pretty quickly. We're going to go through the I.O. here real quick, and we're going to start on the top like we always do. We do have our bumpers and our triggers. These triggers on this particular controller are impulse triggers with vibration, so pretty cool. And then we have our Type-C hole here, and that Type-C hole is actually the one used for the cable to do the wired connection to your Xbox. On the back here, we don't have much but an 8BitDo logo. We do have some texture, not rubber, but texture, and it feels really nice. It's pretty smooth, but it has just enough to give you a grip. Nice thing about this, being as part of the plastic, it won't get so gunky like the rubber does, and over time it's not going to get like sticky and stuff like that, so that's going to be really nice. On the bottom down here, we do have a 3.5 hole for your headphones. That's for your gaming headset, or if you just want headphones on for the person next to you, similar to a normal Xbox controller. You can talk over it, stuff like that. I've not been able to use it to talk because none of my friends have been on Xbox the last like 4 times I signed on, but it's supposed to work for that. They did just do an update for this controller, and I believe there was an update for that 3.5 as part of that as well, so something I might take a look at if I was you. I'd probably get that update done. And you can do that directly through your Xbox in the 8BitDo app. You do have the Xbox power button, or the Xbox button, I guess they usually call it, but the logo button for Xbox, but it's going to power up your device, get you in action. Then you do have your face buttons. These are really nice face buttons. They are a little stiffer than your traditional Xbox button. They have about the same amount of travel, and these aren't quite as hollow sounding, so these actually sound really good. And then we do have our D-pad. So our D-pad here is not that big round one that Microsoft uses. This one here does have a really solid center pivot though, so it acts a lot the same. And then it's a very short throw on this D-pad. You don't have to go very far to hit the switches. So this one works really well. We also do have our menu buttons up here, and then we do have a star button here. The star button is used for different types of programming with the controller, mostly for the lights. So if you like keep tapping it, it'll change the way the lights work, whether you want it to be like a waterfall, you want the fire effect. I believe that's what the default one is. The default one's really cool, whatever it's called, but you'll have the different effects, and we can kind of look at that once we get it plugged in. And then we do have our share button, which is really nice to have on here if you like to share your content. And then last but not least, we do have Hall effect joysticks. These also do have the anti-friction rings and the slip ring. A little different about the slip rings on these are the fact that they're LEDs, so you're not going to get a metal slip ring, but you are getting a metal anti-friction ring, which I think is the more important of the two. So you are getting that ring. These do bounce back pretty good. The controller tops are similar to what you'd get on an Xbox, and they do have a good texture to the outside, so it's not like bothersome to your finger or anything, but it definitely gives you some extra grip. And then yeah, these caps here did come with the controller itself, so I thought I would play around with them and throw them on there. Next, we're going to go through the Ultimate 2 wireless controller. This does come with a base, so we'll go through the base here at the end, and we will start here at the top like we always do. We do have our shoulders and our triggers. Our triggers here do have trigger lock, so they do have a full analog travel, and then you have that digital input here on the top. And these ones actually have their own buttons on the top, so a lot of the times when you do this, even when you lock them, they travel to the same pivot point, so you're not cutting as much latency as you want to. These ones have a button right there, which is actually making it spring back a lot faster. Really nice for first-person shooters, and then obviously for your racing games, you get that more analog effect. Now, these ones also do have the addition of an L4 and R4 here on the top. Probably my favorite back buttons these days are these ones up on top that 8BitDo's been putting on their controllers here this year. They're in a really good spot for placement, so as your fingers are on here, you can hit those things pretty easily without really risking hitting the other buttons. This is just where you get to actually use your fingertips instead of the base of your fingers. We also do have the button for Bluetooth pairing up here. We do have a Type-C hole. You can either use this for charging, you can use it for playing with the controller wired if you want to reduce latency, things like that. So that's what that C hole is there for. And then you do have a light there for your Bluetooth pairing. On the back here, as I just showed you, we do have locks for the triggers. We also do have a switch here. This is going to be for Bluetooth or 2.4 gigahertz. So if you're running wireless to, say, a PC at 2.4 gigahertz and using the dongle, or if you're on Bluetooth hooking up to Android or Apple or anything else really that you'd want to hook up to, you can do that right through the Bluetooth. And then we do have paddles left and right. These are in a good position because they hit right here, like in the mid-knuckle area, kind of more to the pad, but in the mid-knuckle, and that's where they sit while you're playing. And so I don't hit these accidentally all the time like I do on some controllers, so I'm not usually one to use back buttons traditionally, but they aren't bad here, and I don't have to worry about the accidental inputs real often. I don't have a ton of those on here. On the front here, we do have our face buttons. These are a little bit louder, but still not real hollow sounding. They actually do sound really good, and they do have a really good rebound, so they rebound real quickly. Then we also do have, again, our start and select or plus and minus buttons up on here, our menu buttons. Depending on what generation you grew up in, they're a different button for everybody. We do have the square, and then we also, again, have a star, and that's going to be used for programming lights and things. Once again, you can program macros and turbo features on here as well. Also, I think there's like an unlimited macro feature because I tried to program like the world's longest macro on here, and I just eventually gave up because it didn't ever stop me. It just kept going. So might not have a macro limitation. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Unless you're trying to speedrun why you would need one that long, but it seemed to work out pretty well. And then we do have this button right here that'll help us be able to change which controller number we are and stuff like that. Now, as far as our D-pad goes, we do have a really good pivot on this D-pad. I kind of moved this side camera now, and it's throwing me off. Oh, there we go. Now we're on camera. So this D-pad here, good pivot, very short throw again, which is nice. It really it doesn't take much to hit these buttons, which is pretty cool. And then that short throw. It is a little stiff, but that starts to break in over time. So I don't think it's something you really need to worry about that much. As far as joysticks on this, we do have TMR joysticks, which are the next evolution in Hall effect. These are going to use a little bit less power, which is nice. These also do have these slip rings underneath, so that part is good. And then we also do have the LED light ring around the outside. So there's the post and our light ring, which is a slip ring or anti-slip ring, I guess. The anti-friction. Whoa, wow, it took me a while to get there. The anti-friction ring. So these work good like that. Now let's take a look at this dock here. Not a whole lot to it, but we do have these pogo pins, which go to those pogo pins there on the back. That's how it charges, which is cool. And then the light will light up and tell you if it's charged or not. So once it goes out, it's done charging. This does also use the same C cable that this one does. So if you want to plug this in, what I do is I plug this particular dock into my computer, and I use it on 2.4, and the reason being is the dongle is actually underneath here, hidden in the bottom. 8BitDo, I think, was the first one to do this on the first Ultimate controller, and what this does is acts like a satellite. And I've talked about this in controller reviews in the past if you've seen them, but this actually gives you less latency and a better connection if you put this on your desk somewhere, because then the cable's just running to your computer, and this is going to be closer to you. You're going to be able to get away from obstructions that way. Now, one thing that's cool here is, I think it's the first time 8BitDo has done this, but they went with the Type-C connector here on the dongle. So that is really cool. So now we do have a Type-C connection for the dongle, and that just plugs in the bottom there. Put this back on. This also helps you from losing the dongle, but if you need to go remote and you need to bring the dongle with you, you can always just take it out of here if you're not going to bring the base. So you're going on vacation, something like that, you probably don't want to travel with the base. You have that option. And then all together, that's again those pogo pins, they just bump up and she starts charging. All right, so I'm going to give you my thoughts on these two controllers because they are vastly different, yet very much exactly the same. So I'd say they're more use case based. So obviously the Xbox controller is going to be for somebody with an Xbox or a Windows gaming PC that they want an Xbox style controller on. I don't know if personally I would go this route if I was just buying it for PC without playing Xbox. I think this is great for playing on both, don't get me wrong. And again, they're almost exactly the same as far as like the ergonomics and stuff go. They're very, very close as far as that part goes. And I've been using these 8BitDo controllers since they came out. They're comfortable, but I just know that a lot of people are very particular about Xbox controllers and the feel of that original Xbox controller. These are going to be slightly different, but honestly, I think it's more comfortable. So it really comes down to that D-pad, but these are so heavy in comparison, so much heavier. Also, you're going to get more latency here because this one's wired versus wireless. So there's a lot going on here. This is just a much more dense controller. This just feels very similar as far as its operation, but you got your Hall effect joysticks and stuff like that. There's a little bit more to this. It's a little bit more upgraded than your traditional Xbox controller. And it also costs less. And if you're going to play wired, like I tend to do on Xbox, this is going to be the way to go. This is nice and all, but you're actually a little bit more separated on a traditional Xbox controller. I'm just noticing that now that I've been playing this one for a while. So yeah, so the Xbox controller kind of splits your fingers out a little bit more. This actually kind of brings them back in a little bit. So a little bit more comfortable probably for longer periods of play. None of the times I've used this have I ever felt fatigued, where I have with a regular Xbox controller. So, and you can see I haven't been using this one. It's all covered in dust. So I've literally just been using this one. So it's kind of a good indicator, I guess, for you. And then as far as the Ultimate goes, if you've been using an Ultimate, the original, the Ultimate 2 is a little bit better. I mean, those Team R6 are nice. It also seems to feel a little different, which they don't look different at all, but I find this one to be more comfortable. It's definitely lighter, so you got that going for you. Kind of wish I could take my stickers off this one and put them on this one. No, but your button layout's going to be a little bit different too. These ones seem to have a little bit more of a bulge in them. I'd have to do a lot of measuring to figure out exactly what the differences are. They probably even fit on each other's base. Oh, pretty close. So I guess that kind of gives you a little difference as far as the shape goes. So they're really close to being able to fit on each other's base. But I've been really happy with my original Ultimate. Like I said, I paid almost $100 for this and I bought it right when it first came out. I've been using it nonstop. In fact, I have a black one too, so I have two of these that I use. Just hooked up to different systems. That way I don't have to monkey around and switch things. I'll likely be using this on the Xbox since it is Xbox certified. And then I won't have to monkey around with changing these. But this is a really good controller. So again, you do have this base. You can use it kind of as an antenna to get away from your computer a little bit. Also, you don't have to like try to crawl behind your desk and try to hook up a USB dongle every time you want to use this. You can just, you know, hook it up and leave it there. And then if you do need to bring it and put it in a different room or something for just a small gaming session or something, if it's not in its permanent location, all you gotta do is pull that dongle out of the bottom. You don't have to go back behind your computer and try to figure it out. So there's a lot of advantages of the way they do their dock. They're the first ones that I looked at that had it, and they've had it for a couple years now. So I think that was their thing. Whether it is or not, they're doing a good job implementing it, if nothing else. And then you do have that Type-C dongle now, which is really nice for your portable handhelds. Most of the gaming I do these days is portable. It's usually using something like the Steam Deck or the Legion Go, and those will find the profile for the Ultimate controller, and you can just make it happen. I'm not sure if it shows up as an Ultimate or if it shows up as a C, but either way, it does show up as an 8BitDo controller, and the mapping seems to work out pretty well. A few pros and cons I want to go over here before we are done. I really do like this Ultimate Xbox controller. I just wish it was wireless. Playing wired is fine. It does keep the control a little bit lighter. Part of that is just being that you don't have a battery in here, right? You're only going to use the cable, so it does keep it lighter, which is nice, which is probably where it's actually shedding a lot of weight from the original Xbox controller. Now that just provoked that thought, it has such minimal latency being wired that it is really nice to have it that way. And I typically play where I can have it wired anyways, because I usually play off my computer monitor because my kids always have my TV, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But I would prefer to have it, at least the wireless option. I do have the Ultimate 2C controllers too that aren't for the Xbox specifically, but then this one won't work on the Xbox. So this one here is going to work in the same places that the Ultimate 2 works, but the Xbox isn't going to be one of them. So this one here I do use on my Steam Deck and my Legion Go and stuff like that too, but I wish that this just had that option. I know that would kind of take away the Xbox ability of it. I would be happy with just being able to do Xbox wirelessly on it for when I want to play wirelessly. If I do want to play off my TV, then I would like to have that option to be able to do that. And I'm just too far away from my TV to be able to make that happen in my house. So that's an unfortunate thing for me. Other than that though, I do really like it. The Hall effect sticks in here work just fine. I mean, everything is pretty normal. Triggers on here seem to work really good. They rebound really fast, which is nice. I do like also that the shoulders aren't like a clicky. They have a click to them, but you don't hear the click. So it's not a micro switch, which is really nice. We've been seeing a lot of micro switches on controllers lately. It is nice to have something a little bit different there. So a lot of good stuff here for it, obviously. And I do really enjoy playing on it. So it is really comfortable. I think they did a good job putting this one together. As far as the Ultimate 2 goes, I like everything pretty much about it. It's very much like my original Ultimate. So, and that's one of my favorite controllers of all time. I really do like the ability to be able to lock your triggers. That's something that I've really come accustomed to with some of these newer controllers, and almost a need for me at this point, just because I really enjoy it that much, where like I kind of feel like everything needs to have a trigger lock on it. Now, one thing that is a little bit weird, somehow there is a little bit of latency here, even with it having its own switch. It's almost like it takes a while before it engages, but it does push it back really fast once it does. So I don't know that you're losing anything in that, because it really just bounces right back. I don't know if this is showing it or not, but it really bounces right back. So I'm not sure if you're losing anything because you are getting that rebound so quick, but as far as when you actually click it, I mean, I'm sure it's milliseconds, but you can tell, like, it doesn't engage immediately. It just has that little bit of slop, but then I think that is maybe so that it'll bounce back faster. So I don't know. You got to take the good with the bad. I guess if it wouldn't bounce back faster, it's a problem. If you could make it shorter and it wouldn't bounce back faster, then it's not a problem. But if you could make it shorter and have it bounce back equally as fast or faster, then I would say that is something that I would want to see on the Ultimate 3 is an update as. As far as these TMR sticks go, they're okay. They are not my favorite. These, I believe, are the TMR sticks out of the GillyKit KK3 standard, I believe it is. And I gave those a scathing review, we'll say. I'm not a fan of those particular GillyKit TMR sticks. Now, these feel like them, and they act like them in some ways, but it feels like 8BitDo may have gotten better at programming these than GillyKit did, because they are more accurate, though not as accurate as maybe you'd want them to be if you're going to do professional first-person shooters. But overall, they are pretty accurate, and much more accurate than the controller I think they came from. I know GillyKit sells those to a lot of companies, and it just seems to me like they have that same feel to them. So I am almost positive they're the exact same ones. But again, I think 8BitDo did a better job programming them. I still think they're not quite as accurate as I'd want them to be, at least where I feel like they should land. They're always off by just a smidge. Maybe that's me. Maybe it's me that's doing that. I mean, I'm not the greatest gamer, let's be honest. I'm like the weakest link on any team that I'm playing on, but it seems like there could be a little bit of adjustment there. I did play around with the gyro a little bit. I'm terrible with gyro, but it seems like it works really well. It actually seems like it works better than even like my Switch Pro controller, which is weird to me, but maybe it just feels more natural. I'm really bad at it. I've been trying really hard to learn how to play with gyro, so maybe that's it too. Maybe I'm just getting better at it, but it seems to work spectacularly. So if you are good with like gyro shooting, you'd almost be better off using that than the sticks on here if you need to be super accurate. That's just my 2 cents. But other than that, I think it feels good. I like the way the caps feel on my fingers. Once again, they're pretty much the same caps. They're that Xbox style cap with a good rubber on the outside. It also doesn't seem like a rubber that's so soft that it's going to rub away real quickly, though I still think these might wear out over time. You might get little soft spots on here or little bald spots over time, but it's going to take a long time. I didn't see anything maturing on these sticks any of the time that I was playing on them, so I think that you're pretty much good to go there. And then I, again, don't have a huge problem with these back buttons on here. I do like having back buttons on controllers in case I do want to use them. I don't find myself hitting the ones on here on accident very often, though I was trying to play Forza with this controller and apparently had the right one set up to the brake, and so I was trying to hit the gas with the trigger, and then I was somehow hitting the brake at the same time with the back bumper, but I figured it out. For the most part, it's pretty good, and I don't usually like squeeze a controller, so I'm not having any issues with having those back there. So who are these for? I think anybody looking for upgraded controllers, I think these are a good option for. Microsoft offers 1,000 controllers for the Xbox, but they all really look and operate the same. They're just different colors. I think that if you're looking for just a little bit slightly different feel, this might be a really good option for you. I wish it had some more of the Xbox Pro controller features, like your back buttons and things like that. This one right here is on the top of my list. I really do enjoy playing Xbox with this particular controller. If I'm going to play on Windows, it's okay. Like, I did do some Windows game playing on it. It works just fine. It's just that. It's just fine. It's nothing special really when you're playing on Windows. The real magic with this is playing on the Xbox. So if you're an Xbox gamer, if you have an Xbox One or an Xbox S or X, this is going to be the way to go, I think, if you're looking for a third-party controller. As far as the Ultimate 2 here goes, I think that this is a controller for everybody because I love the Ultimate controller. And before I ever got anything from 8BitDo, I was buying Ultimate controllers because I really like the feel of them. I like the thought process into them. I love the design. I love being able to just use the dock, not have to think about it. You know, when you're plugging stuff in, especially when you have kids like I do, they're trying to figure out if something, you know, they have the charging cable in right and they're breaking half of them. So then you got to go double check to see if it's actually charging or if it's broke off in there. With a dock like this, it just takes away all that worry. And the controller itself works very well. Now, I wish the sticks were a little bit more accurate, but I think they're accurate enough for most people that aren't playing at the pro level. And if you are really good at that level, you're probably good with gyro shooting anyways, and that would be the way to go. Use that 6-axis gyro, and you would be far ahead of anybody with sticks anyways. So I think that would work to your benefit. But all in, this is a very solid controller. I would recommend it for anybody using a Nintendo Switch. I like these more than my Pro controller for Switch, and this has all the features plus a couple extras that are on the controller, and they work really well for handheld PCs or just playing on your computer in general. This is a solid controller, again, all the way around. I'm comfortable recommending both these controllers. They both have definitely their use cases, but both these controllers I have had a lot of fun with, and I'm going to continue to have fun with. Definitely getting my regular rotation as far as controllers go. This is going to replace my gaming rig Ultimate controller. My Ultimate controller is going to move to the bedroom. I don't use it in there very often, so this one here is definitely going to replace the one that I have on my rig right now. So I'm really, really happy with what I had here. I almost forgot. If you want to pick up one of these bad boys for yourself, the links are down in my thingamabob. And also, thank you 8BitDo for supplying these for the review. But that's all I got for today. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe. Share this video with your friends because sharing is caring. Also, don't forget to check out one of these videos if you're on the screen once you're done with all that other paperwork I asked you to do, because YouTube thinks you're going to like one of these videos, and I tend to agree with YouTube. So take a look at one of those. But thanks for watching. Bye-bye.